The first place I ever remember living was a housing project in Garfield Heights, Ohio. It was a small one-bedroom apartment, me, my brother, my sister, and my mom. And we grew up with basically no furniture and lived a very, I guess, stereotypical housing project life, if that's even a thing. Unfortunately, we were evicted when I was in the 3rd grade. We actually spent 6 months living with my mom's friend, maybe a work colleague. My mom finally realized that was probably unsustainable, so we moved into a motel. We stayed in that hotel, I believe, for close to a year. My mom spent quite a bit of time out of house, 1, for work, but then 2, because of her addiction, and so we just didn't have the supervision, and so you almost couldn't expect like 3 kids to kind of wake themselves up and consistently go to school. So not having the guidance and the structure that we needed, my siblings and I just decided not to go.
You know, I guess it became a point in time when mother was out of the house that I was going to play acting mother. So I decided that we were going to go to school for whatever reason. I'm like, no, we're going to go to school.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe she actually called social services on herself because she didn't feel like she was fit. And so that day came, and I'll never forget, you know, this big white van came up, and, you know, we were kind of forced to just gather whatever we could in a couple trash bags, and we were forced to leave. As difficult as it was for my brother and I to transition into foster home, but we were kind of fortunate enough to stay with the same family the entire time. It took quite some time to get used to just being in a home that wasn't yours, you know what I'm saying?
And the fact that your mom was accessible.
Right.
Anytime
exactly.
y'all called her, y'all was able to get her, and other
True.
kids in foster care,
That's very true.
they're not accessible to their
Right.
biological parents
Right.
like that. He was going to Garrett Morgan on the west side, but they didn't have a sports program. And so I kind of like badgered the social workers, get him out of that, get him in a public school where there's a sports program so he can enjoy the high school experience.
Right.
And that's the time frame when I met John. I was a building level security. I was working summer school. He was a student. I'm talking about he looked like security guard, club bouncer. That's how big he was. And my first initial thought wasn't about playing football. My first thought was, what will I have to do to break this big dude down if he get out of control? You know, so that was my thought. After about a week or so of summer school, I finally called him over, and he came over. Like I said, he was a shy type kid, just big. But when I talked to him, he wouldn't look at me, he would look at the ground. And I asked him, hey, do you play football? And he said, he shook his head. And then so I said, well, hey, do you want to play ball? And when I said, do you want to play ball, he kind of like perked up. He was like, no, just like a goofy kid. But he showed up all summer long, even though he wasn't enrolled at South at that particular time. He showed up every day. And so finally he told me I would have to come by and talk to his foster mom at that time. And I was able to convince her, you know, to transfer him in the South, and she said she would, but she was like, if I get him over there, you know, you better keep him out of trouble.
In Cleveland and other neighborhoods and communities like Cleveland, especially for young black boys, oftentimes we're kind of pigeonholed into like sports or entertainment, right? I kind of found myself in that same situation. So I didn't have much going on in my personal life. I didn't really excel in school. I wasn't the happiest person in my life, but football was the first thing that I was able to do very well. I had never played organized sports a day in my life, and after being convinced to join a team, I kind of just was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. And I ended up like having, like 69, 70 tackles, 11 sacks. I was all district, I was all state, and in 1 year, I think I got like 11 trophies or 12 trophies in 1 year. I mean, Defensive Player of the Year, Conference Defensive Player of the Year, all state, all Senate, like, I mean, you name it. I had all these different trophies and accolades. Once word got out that, you know, there was this defensive lineman out of Cleveland, I think I generated a lot of buzz. I was recruited by Miami, so virtually every school in the MAC, by Ohio State, by Michigan State, by UC, a lot of teams in the Big Ten, because again, I kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people didn't think that I would qualify or I would be able to stay in school, but when the smoke cleared and it was actually time for me to make a decision, Miami was the only Division I school that said, hey, I know you got some baggage, I know you had some issues, but we'll work with you and we want to see you succeed on the field and off.
I remember when the coaches talked about, hey, we got a guy coming from Cleveland, can you meet with him? I remember just how big of a guy he was. You know, like, I mean, football players are big dudes, but he walked in and I was like, whoa. Those coaches saw something in John that said, this is somebody we want on our team. When he first moved in to Miami University, he came with 2 trash bags. He didn't come here with a lot, but I'm gonna leave here with everything.